Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dog.
And it was amazing. 44 feet is the record flood stage for the White River. But interesting enough, we always hope to be in that mid-20s. This year, it was just over 8 feet. That's how much drier it is. And the last 2 nights, we've hunted a couple areas that we didn't get to hunt for 2 or 3 or 4 years. But I came the first year was in 2010. And our group there was a little different. And Nubbin, who was in our group there?
Well, to start with, Fred Sanders and Kenneth Raines was with us then. And Frog Hayes was young whippersnapper. He tagged along. But anyway, of course, Fred and Kenneth has passed on to the happy hunting ground now. So they're not with us. So I guess that makes me the oldest one of the bunch now.
You're the senior member.
Yeah, I'm in charge.
Does that mean we have to do what you say?
Don't do what I say.
Do as you say.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've had a lot of fun, and I had no concept of what the White River Refuge was, really. Okay, it's a place in Arkansas. I knew Arkansas was supposed to be a big state for hunting, and I knew about the duck hunting over here. And really, we're not all that far from Stuttgart, which is the duck hunting capital of the world, I guess. And the place that we're staying here, the High Plains Waterfowl Lodge, is primarily a duck hunting location. But we get to slide in here when this White River Refuge opens. We get to slide in here between the duck seasons. I think we're in a split season right now or whatever.
We are.
Yeah. When does that second season,
I got no earthly idea. It has to be probably next week or so, because I think we only got 1 week that we can stay here out of duck season.
Yeah. Well, we lucked up, really. We've had kind of a progression. We stayed originally at Maddox Bay. Were you with us over at the cabin at Maddox Bay, Randy?
At Janice's.
I was at Janice's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a place there that I guess you and Kenneth and Fred and all had stayed there for several years. And that was good. It was a little close, but it had a pretty good-sized kitchen and a table there, and it was a real comfortable hunting camp. But we lost it because the lady passed away, and I think her daughter tried to operate it 1 year there, and it closed. So it kind of put us out of a place to stay, and we were able to find a deer hunt camp, I think is what that was originally planned for the fella that rented us a trailer, a mobile home, and we were there for a couple years, 2, maybe 3. I don't know where we decided, but anyway, it's immaterial. Mm-hmm. But we like it here at this. High Plains.
Yeah. Look, if you look around, this is, I guess you call the living room here. It's big. It's bigger than my house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got a big fireplace in the center there, all enclosed, a circular deal all around the walls, a taxidermy. I'm sure a lot of this stuff probably. Well, I see an elk and a caribou, so that's probably didn't come out of the White River Refuge.
And a bear.
And a bear. Yeah, there's a black bear over there.
He could have come from here.
He could have come from here, yeah. And there's a mountain goat.
Right. Well, just a little bit about this place here is kind of interesting. A nice family, Brian Womack and his family have 4 children, and he is a Baptist minister. And I think he was a pastor at what's the little town back over here toward Helena that we come through? Marvel. Yeah. But I think he has since maybe resigned that. But this is kind of like a Christian retreat. If you look around the walls, you'll see various references to Bible scriptures and so forth. So it's a ministry outreach for them. But it was an old store, and they remodeled this thing, and man, it is neat. And I'll try to post some photos on the Gone to the Dogs podcast Facebook page so you can kind of see and get the idea of what we're doing here. Well, the main thing that we wanted to do is talk about coon hunting. I mean, this is a Coon Hunters podcast, and these guys right here that are with me today are definitely coon hunters and a long standing. Nubbin, how many years have you coon hunted? Do you have any idea?
Since I was about 14 or 15 years old.
And you're 39 now, right?
Yeah, plus.
Backwards. You said that backwards.
Backwards? Yeah. Oh, it's 93, is it?
Yeah,
He's getting up there.
I'm 80 years old. I'll be 81 in February.
Yeah. And how about you, Morris? How long you been hunting?
Hunting? Oof.
Yeah. Coon hunting.
Forrest just hunting regular since probably 21 years old. Hunting regular. But I started as a teenager going with other people.
Yeah.
But far as my own dogs, I guess 21. 21, I was 21.
When you were 21.
I'm 77.
Yeah. Well, Randy's the youngest one of our group here. How long you been hunting, Randy?
Well, I had probably 7, 8 years old. I had two older men started carrying me, and been doing it ever since.
7 or 8 years old. How old are you now?
65.
Yeah. See, he's the young buck.
Yeah.
I got him by 10 years. I hit that 75 this year. Man, that went fast.
It did. When he said that, I started to say, I got kids about that age.
Yeah,
my son's 57.
Yeah, we're going to start talking about kids now. My son's 43.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about what we like, what kind of dogs we like. Nubbin, what kind of dog do you favor for coon hunt?
I favor a coon dog.
A coon dog, yeah.
Well, listen, for years, I hunted blue ticks, red dogs, whatever I could have. And then I got into the black dogs, I think in 1980, and I got a pup from Mr. Fred Sanders and then raised him. And I won a little bit with him, and then 4 years ago, I had to cull a black dog that I raised, and I was without a dog. So I was guiding casts at our local hunt, and I hunted with this dog. She had made 3 trees and saw 3 coons. And then a month or so later, the guy come back to another hunt, and so I told Jamie Perry, and I said, I want to guide that cast. I want to look at that dog again. Well, she won that cast, and then, needless to say, I got the guy to price the dog, and then I bought her, and that's what I'm hunting now. It's a tree and walker.
Yeah, and she's a Insane Cane bred.
Her Insane Cane is her daddy, and the mother, I don't know. She's just a walker dog, I guess. I don't know anything about her mother. But anyway, that's all I got now. I got one walker female. She's 6 years old.
I think as we get older, we tend to gravitate to maybe having less dogs. I know I have.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there was I never did keep a lot of dogs, but about 4 I had at a time before. Most of the time 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm. I know. I used to like to keep an older dog, a young dog, and a pup coming on. I used to love to raise puppies and train them.
Mm-hmm.
But, as I got older, this dog I got now, I tell people she's not the best dog I ever had, not the best coon treer, but all around, she's the best dog I ever had for all the traits. Mm-hmm. She'll come when I call her. She does not bark in the pen hardly ever. If you want to hear her or see her, you got to walk up to the dog pen because you don't hear her.
Yeah.
And she'll come when, like I said, she'll come when I call her most of the time.
Yeah.
But,
well, Morris, you kind of maybe ahead of your times here. UKC now registers the crossbred dog.
Yes.
And you were kind of an English man for several years, weren't you?
Yeah, I hunted English. Then I hunted Walker dogs, and then some of them got to where they won't hunt with you if you hunted a Walker dog. So I just had to crossbreed me one I could hunt with the English people and the Walker people.
Yeah.
So right now, I guess my main dog is a X-breed, crossbreed, what you want to call it. Walker red tick crossed. Michigan swamp rooster on the bottom and tequila sunrise on the top.
Yeah.
Pup out of deep Louisiana, where it come from.
Skeeter.
Coon
treer.
A treer.
No. Skeeter's kind of been, that dog in camp that could be depended on, to produce the goods. We had a little. Well, I'll get around to me later on. It's not a happy story at this point. Randy, what kind of dog do you prefer?
Well, I've hunted black dogs for the last 20 years, probably. I went up to in the Ozarks to Ronald Myers and got my first black dog, and been hunting them ever since.
Yeah, and how long has that been now?
Oh, that was in the mid-'80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 I got a dog back then, and I brought 2 pups, and one of them turned out to be a good one, and I got rid of the other one. And that dog was Smith Black Hobie.
Well, that's probably, I guess if you get one good one out of 2, that's pretty good average.
Good odds.
That brings up. Well, I'm hunting this. He just turned 3 years old, Cruise dog, and he's a tree and walker. Of course, I've never been a walker man. I've been a plot man all my life. Had one other walker in my life. I had a female that I liked a lot. She was out of Silver Dollar Stone, a Mill Creek Molly, and I kept her probably close to 10 years. And when I was getting ready to retire and all, I let a fella in North Carolina. He had a boy up in Iowa that wanted to hunt her, and he did, and he hunted her till she died. And I wish I could say the one I've got now is as good as that one was, but he's not. He's struggling, and I haven't figured him out yet. He was up with Frank Giddings in Michigan. Frank told me he's got it on both ends. I mean, he's an excellent strike dog. He's got a great mouth, and when he trees, you got to go get him. But he's had struggled with accuracy, and I haven't figured it out whether his nose, it's cold, but his nose and his brain ain't working together, or what it is. But I think he's given up maybe. When those treks get a little tough for him, but he's a very tree-minded dog, and I think that's probably working against him in that regard too. But the dog has treed a lot of raccoons, and he qualified for the PKC World and all that. So anyway, that's what I got right now is one walker dog. I'm not real happy with him, and there may be some changes coming, but I think that brings up when we talk about the dogs and training that puppy and having one that turned out and one that didn't and all. I think all of y'all like to start pups, and I know I always did. Nubbin, what's your kind of regimen that you use when you get a new puppy? Say we go to Automotion, you pick up a 10-week-old pup out of a bloodline that you like. What are you going to do with that pup?
Well, you just have to love him, pet him up, and let him get to know you. And a lot of people put a dog in a pen. They go up there one time a day and feed it and kick it back out the door. But you got to spend time with a pup.
Morris, we'll throw the ball to you in your court when you get a puppy. You got 2 nice English puppies. We stopped by your place Sunday, and a red tick one and a blue tick one, real pretty pups. But what you gonna do with them?
I kind of been copying Nubbin Moore's method there with a string and a pole. When they're little, I play with them with a coon hide, and like he said, you walk them through the woods and let them be the pup. Just let them do their thing. And only thing he says different. He does mess with them in the pen. I let mine out and let them chase it around. I'd rather mess with a puppy. It seems like to me when you get one 3 years old or finished, it ain't as much fun challenging as the pup is. So I'm about ready to put him up.
I get you.
I had a friend said, he's a coon hunter from years and years back. He said when they get 3 years old, you about know what you're going to have when they're 3. But between 3 and 4, to me, you can see a polishing stage. And once I get them polished, it ain't as much fun. So I'd rather hunt the pup.
So you're saying that you think by the time a dog between 3 and 4 is when you think the dog is probably about what he's going to be?
I do. And I've watched a bunch of them between 3 and 4. If you will notice them, you will see just little bitty things that they do different, but it's to the good, and that's what I call a polishing stage. And when they get 4, that's it.
Yeah.
They are what they are.
They are what they are.
What about you, Randy? What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is the same deal. I start a pup when they little. I'm retired now, and I can walk them in the woods, and I keep them in the woods every day. And I usually like carrying them by themselves so they don't. If you got 2 or 3, they play bad. And anyway, I just go to a coon tail on a pole, and then I like using a dead coon for a drag rather than a hide, and fresh too. And then I make about 3 drags, and I'll do that over a period of time. I'll skip 2 weeks or 3 weeks in between doing it, and then once they get pretty decent at that, I'll go to a cage coon, turn loose when they get older.
Yeah. You touched on something there. I get a lot of messages and what I call modern mail, which comes in either Facebook Messenger or it comes in a text message or maybe an email from younger hunters or new hunters are coming in, and they have a lot of these questions about, should I show the dog a cage coon? If I do, how often should I do it? Just a lot of questions, because when you're new at this sport, unlike the 4 of us pretty much have grown up with it, you don't know what you need to do. And I don't think there's any magic formula and all, but we always started pups. Back in the day, somebody in our coon club would have a cage coon, would keep it in a cage, a live coon that had a collar on it. And in the early days, we'd go out and take that coon out of there, and try to make a trail with him and let him climb up a bush there or something, and then, turn the pups loose. And so that we felt that was maybe a little more natural because it was actually following, the scent of a live raccoon. But that's not convenient to do. In most areas, you can't even do that legally anymore, keep a coon in captivity. Some states, I guess, give you a permit. So we resort to using. But there's been all kinds of things down through the years. The magazines sold those drags and scent sticks like they used in the old field trial days. And there was a thing called a training bag that you put a coon in. And, there's been a real evolution, down through the years of all that stuff. What would you say is too much or too little? I mean, what's a happy medium? How many times? All right, let's go around the table. What age would you start a pup fooling him with either a drag or maybe a cage coon?
Hey, I start him at 3 or 4 months old. Just play him with a hide. But I don't do it too much. I do it some now and wait a week or 2 and do it. But if I turn coons, the drags, I do that a few times, not many. But then I turn a few coons loose. Trap a coon and turn it loose. But I don't do that but 3 or 4 times. And then I just when he gets a little older, 6 months old, then I start taking him to the woods with me and just let him follow along, do what he wants to do.
What about you, Morris? About the same?
Kind of like him. Yeah, he's got to be like 3, 4 months old. I mess with him with a drag. I may turn, when he's at 4, 5, 6, 5 months old, I may turn a live coon loose to him maybe twice. But if he ever trees that turn loose coon, that's it. Don't quit.
Right.
But
Just
when I
take
was
him up.
younger,
Just take
could
him
get
up.
around in the woods more, my dogs never saw a cage coon. They never saw a drag. I raised him from a pup, which started hunting him when he was 6, 7 months old, and just kept him in the woods. If you hunted with somebody that had a hound, tie your pup. When you shoot a coon out, tie your pup. You stay with your pup while somebody else shot the coon out, and pet your pup when the gun goes off. And you excite your pup when the coon hits the ground sooner or later. But they never saw a cage coons, and I probably had as good a dogs then as I do now. A lot of it is up to you.
Right. Randy, what about you?
I'm probably about like them. I'll start using a drag when they 3 or 4 months old, and then I don't do it but about 3 times, and I skip a period of time, and then on the cage coon I let them get about 7, 8 months old, 9 months old, and then I don't do no more than 2, because I've seen it happen a lot of times. You get them where they don't want to. If they can't see it or wind it or something, they don't want a tree on it. Exactly. Anyway, just you can't overdo that. But and then I like to take a pup in the first year. I hunt them pretty much by themselves to the first winter.
A spring-bred pup, then you would keep him by himself, not hunt him with another dog or anything till that fall or winter.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think everybody's got different ideas about that, but the big thing, the caution part of all of this is don't overdo it. I think a young hunter, maybe new to tree dogs, gets a nice puppy. That puppy right away turns onto that cage coon. Oh boy, he's trying to get him out of that cage and all. And boy, that was fun, and he really bought. So let's do that every day. Listen, I heard Alan Gingrich say that about he and his brother Alan at UKC. He said, they got a red bone pup, and they ran a drag for that puppy every day. I mean, they just wore him out, So that's not what you want to do. I think I would use the word just trigger that pup's instincts. My philosophy is, number one, get a well-bred pup that's got the genetics that will absorb and process the training that you're going to give him. If he's not a natural pup, I guess you can make a pup tree, tease him enough for something to get him to throw his head up and bark up at it. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. People just tease them, into that. But what I always did, and I loved working with pups, but the first thing I would do is I'd take a hot dog and I'd cut it up in little pieces. And I'd take that little puppy, 8 weeks old, 10 weeks old, with me, walk along the yard. And, of course, he'd be following me along, looking. I'd just toss a little piece of that hot dog out in front, and I'd just walk that way. And that puppy he'd find that hot dog, I'd toss another one out there, and we'd walk on a little bit later. And then I'd take him and maybe set it up on the tail, put a piece of the weenie up on the tailgate, and to get him to raising up there, My dad used to set their feed pan up on a post and have them just looking up and barking, just little things, like little puppy things, but not overdo any of that stuff. And then what I would do is I'd take them to the woods in the daytime and walk over logs and across little creeks. And do y'all do any of that stuff with them too?
Yeah, woods time. Woods time means a lot. That's the most important thing is woods time. They won't learn anything sitting in the pen.
Yeah.
You got to hunt that pup.
Yeah. We've said this on podcasts before. They talk about which one of them pups you think will make the best one. And the guy said the one that gets hunted the most, that's the one that'll probably make the best one. And I want to talk to you about that a little more, Randy, because I don't think anybody hunts any more than you do. But, that's, there's a lot of experience here. And I know you guys have had a lot of good dogs down through the years. I want to pick on that just a little bit. Nubbin, I think I know, and we've talked about it before. The dog that you had that probably had the most success with was a Hank dog. And tell us a little bit about Hank.
Well, I got him from Fred Sanders in 1980. He was born in 1980, and I raised him. And anyway, he started off real young, but like Randy and Morris just said, of course, I worked every day back in the day. But on the weekends, if I wasn't working, I'd get that pup out and just walk him in the woods. It's like you said, go across the creek, make him swim the creek, when he's 4 or 5 months old. And I started fooling with him, and he started treeing, and I started hunting. And you got to hunt a dog. I hunted him regular. Of course, I've never hunted as much as Randy hunts, but I'd hunt several nights a week, especially if I have a young dog trying to train him.
Yeah. So that was Alabama Black Hank.
Alabama Black Hank.
Won Autumn Oaks National Grand Night Champion in 1980. 84. And
then 85, I was a high-scoring black and tan male. 86, I was a high-scoring black and tan male. Then I started the Winter Classic in 87, I think. And I was a high-scoring black and tan male, 87 and 88.
I believe it was, yeah. I can't remember the exact year. I was thinking 88, but it might have been 87.
I don't know.
Whatever.
It's been a long time ago.
What about you, Morris? What's been your favorite dog over the years? Did you have one that you could?
I guess what I got now, I kind of like her. I had a little Walker female way back. She's crowding Billy bred on the top and Gans finisher bred on the bottom. I bought her when she was 18 months old and pregnant, and I gave the pups back to the man that I bought her from. Bought her from a man at Tunica, Mississippi, that all the old coon hunters know, called Hal Hamrick. Everybody nicknamed him Blondie. She was a really good-looking little Walker female that could drink water out of a Coca-Cola bottle and run through a cane break and never touch a cane. She was so narrow-chested, but she could tree coons.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a beauty now.
Well, there's no ugly dog out there in the dark, is there?
No, once you get your light off of them, they all look the same.
Well, Randy, you've had some success in night hunts, and I remember here. Well, I'm going to let you tell about some of the. Do you have a favorite dog that you down through the years?
I've been blessed with a bunch of good ones, and all of them have holes, and I've probably the Hobie dog was my favorite of all of them. He just was a natural, and he didn't have no comeback in him. But I've had a lot of good dogs.
What about Hobie? Well, tell us a little bit about him.
Well, he was Myers bred and out of old Screaming Bow, and he just was a natural, and he didn't have no comeback in him, and he tree coons. He was a good one.
Now you sold him.
Yeah.
He went to who?
I sold him to Jay Treadwell and Eddie Muse, and then Jimmy Reese ended up with him, and he had Ace Dog and Hobie both there. Right. And Hobie did not reproduce. He wasn't a good reproducer. Ace was, but Hobie could tree coons. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Well, the Ace Dog you're talking about is a set 'em up Ace Dog, right? Yeah. Black and tan people out there will know those names for sure. Well, you had a little female that did pretty good at the UKC World.
Yeah, she was a little ugly stick female named Moon Pie Sally. Yeah, she was a good one too. I still got her. She's 9 now, and she's been the only dog I've kept over the years. I've sold most everything else when they get 2 to 3 years old, and kind of knew what they were going to be, and like I said, I've had many good ones.
Yeah. Well, I think there's the old saying is the harder you work, the luckier you get. And you hunt, how many nights a week you hunt?
I'd say 5 or 6.
Just the ones that get dark?
Yeah. Well,
Morris said he hunts 8 nights a week.
8 nights a week.
8.
8 nights a week.
If it's raining, I don't like to hunt, and that's about it. And then as I got older, I don't sleep well, so if I hunt, I sleep a lot better. Yeah. So that helps too. But anyway,
Well, there's one thing that I noticed from the very first time I met you and you came over here to White River and started hunting. You take your coon hunting seriously. Now, I don't know how much you look at it like a job or is it just purely pleasure for you, but you go at it. I mean, you're all about it. You're about getting your dog off the strap, giving him every opportunity to get out there and tree a coon, and you always bring a coon dog to camp. Every year that I've been here, you have. What do you think the secret to all that is, or did I describe you pretty well?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I love it. I've been doing it since I was a little kid, and I guess I love it just as much now as I did then. And
yeah. Well, it shows, when somebody, this, to the people listening out there, maybe newcomers to the sport, it's not, if you're really going to get involved in coon hunting, it's a commitment, and I think about that commitment in a lot of ways. And I think one of the things that used to bother me the most is if I had a good young dog and it was a good prospect and was showing something and had a good bloodline and all that, it was like throwing money away or not even sending my kid to school if I didn't get that dog out there at night. I mean, it was like I was letting time was wasting, time was going by. That dog was going to, I was wasting that dog and all its potential and all. And there's no substitute. Can we agree that there's no substitute for hunting a dog?
Correct.
Keep them in the woods.
Keep them in the woods.
Yeah. Okay, but then there are conditions to that. I mean, we know we don't want to take a nice young dog and hunt him with trashy dogs, particularly. At least I don't. Maybe you guys got a different philosophy to that. Some of you, I know we've had many discussions around here about, dogs that ran deer and they were good track dogs and stuff. But what do you think are the pitfalls that some guys mistakes that they make when they get a nice young dog and it's to take him maybe to the next level? And I'm not saying to the competition level. I'm saying to the level of a pleasure dog like old Skeeter to hunt. That you enjoy hunting year after year after year. What are some of the pitfalls that guys make, do you think?
I don't know what to tell you on that one. Like I said, you still got to hunt him. You just got to hunt that dog. You got to hunt him.
Well, I mean, you can't give me a list of mistakes. Don't do this. Don't do that.
I don't know, but it seems like to me a female cannot take the abuse that a male dog can take. You can correct a male dog a little bit better than you can most females. Mm-hmm. You overcorrect a female, sometimes you mess them up pretty bad.
And every dog is a little different. I mean, there's no two alike. You got to kind of do what that dog needs and recognize that. Some you can get on, others you can just talk to and scold them. And
some dogs, if you get on them, won't even hunt.
Right,
they'll crawl under the truck.
Learn your dog is the best thing you do. Learn the temperament of your dog.
I think one of the hardest dogs to train, and y'all might agree, is a timid dog, a shy dog.
Yeah. They can't stay with me. I ain't saying they don't make a good dog, but they don't stay with me because I don't like that. So you won't put as much premium time in one like that.
I think a lot of people keep some of these pups way too long. That's not really doing it. They'll say he's 2 or 3 years old, but still trying to train him. But to me, when a dog is a year old, if he's not doing a lot that I like, then he's got to go. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to keep him. When he's a year old, every good dog I've ever raised, when he was 12 months old, I was really liking him. Or I wouldn't.
I'll agree with what Nubbin says. I'll give him a year.
Yeah, and I'm the same way.
Years ago, before you had the training methods that you got today, probably you didn't have a dog until he got 2. You'd keep a dog 2 years old, trying to train him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember, but today's methods that you got, I don't see any use of hunting one 2 years old that you're not satisfied with.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the old argument always comes up on the message boards and social media. Are the dogs better today or were they better yesterday? The old dogs, the old saying, the deader, the better.
That's right.
But our dogs nowadays, overall, do you think we have better puppies being born than what they were back in the days when we started? I mean, was it more of a gamble to take buy a pup out of a litter back then and try to make a coon dog out of it than it is now?
Well, I think you got to look at the background of a pup, what's behind him. I think the dogs are better today.
I do too.
Everybody's going to disagree, a lot of people, but like you said, the deader, the better. I wouldn't want another dog like that old Hank dog I had, because I'm older, and I don't want one that, if you turned him loose, you had to go get him off of a tree somewhere. But now the dog I got now, if I don't want to go to the tree, I can call her and she'll come to me. She don't want to come, but she will. Yeah. I don't do that much, but let's say she crosses water, a big creek or a lake or whatever. Well, there's no way I can cross it. Well, that get in the truck and drive 50 miles around there, so I just call her.
But on the other hand, the dog you got today, she didn't learn that on her own. Somebody had to have these new training methods or tools they used to make that dog do that you didn't have this back in the 60s.
That's right. When I bought her, she was 2 years old.
Right.
I've had her 4 years. When I bought her, she was that way. Either she came naturally or somebody put the juice to her.
Right.
Okay, so now I don't know that. I never talked to the guy that raised her.
But when you classify a dog today better, are you talking about a tree dog or a track dog? You got to ask a man, had you rather have a track dog or a tree, or you rather have a tree dog that will run a track? I don't think, personally, overall, that you got the track dogs today that you had, say, back in the 60s. I won't never believe it. You got better tree dogs, but you don't have the track power that you had back in the days of Finisher, Crowd Billy, that kind of thing.
Well, I have a lot of philosophies about that. If you could talk about the walker dogs, because in the early days, I came along. These night hunts just got geared up in about the time I was born. Was when they were starting out, in the 40s and after the war. 47, I believe, is when they maybe had the first ACHA World Hunt, I believe, and a lot of those dogs, especially walker dogs, weren't far from the foxhound packs of Kentucky and so forth. And those dogs were running dogs. I mean, and they were track driving dogs, but they weren't necessarily straight, and they would run whatever. And then the tree, if you found one, the tree and kind of had to be, coaxed along in a lot of those dogs. But then, you get dogs like Johnson's Banjo, who was attributed to putting a lot of tree in the walker dogs. And, he produced House's Chief, and he produced the Banjo 2 dog. A lot of those dogs, we talked the other day with Lee Kearns about some of those dogs. But I guess what I want to think about here is the puppies that are being produced on the average, I think today are better. It seems like they start earlier. It's really kind of hard to find just a total dud nowadays that won't do anything. And I can remember back in the day, it seemed to me like that you could get that at times. What do you think about that?
I think people are using different methods today than they did back in the day start a puppy. They learning more how to start a puppy. Mm-hmm. Just my thoughts of it on. Like I said, younger days, I was able to keep up with a dog. Don't matter where he went. I'm going to be there with that pup. Run a deer, fall off on the coon, I'm still going to be there. But I didn't turn coons loose, or I didn't use drags. I just took the pup hunting. I did. But that's just my philosophy.
Yeah. I guess, I get a lot of questions that come from these guys from all over the place about this, about how to, and most of it is about how to correct the problem. I've got a dog. She was treeing really good. Now she wants to, she wants to mill around the tree. Or, she's a tree by herself and she's doing good, and another dog comes to her and she wants to leave. There's a lot of little people try to fix everything in a dog. To me, I always liked the kind of dog that was more natural, that I didn't have to be every time out there I was tweaking on that dog. I never quite understood that. I had hear guys talking, and guys that hunted, especially when I was in PKC, when I was hunting with a lot of guys that were really hard hunters, competition hunters, but they're saying, well, I'm out there, I got to get out there tonight, I've got some training to do. I got to fix this. I got to fix that. I never had much experience. I'm not the guy that had to fix a lot of things about dogs. Do you believe in naturals? You want a natural, or do you want to form that dog like a wad of clay into what you want?
Everybody nowadays wants a natural. They don't fix it. But let me go back and touch on something we touched a while ago. Back in the 70s, you were coon hunting.
Yeah.
Did you hear very many people brag about a dog 5 months old treeing a coon by itself?
No.
Do you today?
Oh, yeah.
That'll tell you. So you got it easier trained today because of the methods. But like I said, in the 70s, I don't ever remember having dogs that were 5 months old that I hunted even.
No. That would have been unheard of when I was a young man coming up through the sport, to have a dog that, I've witnessed this personally, and I've talked to, these dogs at 8 months old going out there 400 or 500 yards, striking a track, treeing a coon, sitting there tree till you get to them and all. That was unheard of when I started. When I really got into it was in the 60s for me, so that's been 50 years, or more. So,
the first young pup that I bragged on that would tree coons at an early age was out of none other than the Hard Time Spec dog that Ed Bates promoted. This pup at 6 months old could tree coons by himself. Was not a hunting dog, wouldn't go wide hunting because of the way I trained him. But he could tree coons. If he turned a loose on a coon, he would tree it, and that's the way he was trained. But he wasn't a hunting dog. But he could tree coons at a young age if you walked him over it.
Well, I think if a puppy is a natural tree dog, a bred tree dog, it seems like they get real. At first, it's easy for them to tree coon. I guess they're just going looking for a hot coon, and they're very excitable, and they sit down under it and they bark. But then they kind of go through an adolescent stage a lot of times, and they're not as good as they were when you started. Have you ever seen that, Randy?
Yeah, and all of them are different, but I think that back in the 70s you had more track dogs, but you had more pack dogs too. And then now you get a lot more natural, independent dogs, and I like it.
Yeah. That's been something that's kind of been interesting to me. Now, a lot of these independent dogs are made that way. These dogs that go a mile, mile and a half, get away from everything quick, get under a hot coon. A lot of that is man-made, but there is a lot of natural-born independence in our dogs now that wasn't there before, right? And that's what you're saying, I think.
Yeah. I sort of like a dog that will get alone if he has to, or he'll pack if he has to. A lot of people don't want a dog to pack. They want the dog to get off out trying by itself. But I like one that, if the 2 or 3 dogs strike a track, stay with him and tree that coon.
Mm-hmm. But, to me, it's just interesting, the evolution, though, that has come about the dogs, because they were all, a dog, a canine is a pack animal, a coyote, a wolf pack, or whatever in the wild. They're pack, there's a pecking order in the pack and all that. But now here we've got these dogs, a lot of them, that are natural-born loners. They just don't want to be around another dog. I had a little pop female like that named Annie. I often said if you took every dog at Autumn Oaks and turned it down the creek, she'd go up a creek. She would not have anything, and never was whipped off of a tree to make her independent or anything. And she was a real little tree dog and a nice coon dog, and I won with her. But she got to the point where if another dog covered her, she would leave. Her independence got the better of her, you know. What do you think has happened there? Is that it's just in the breed? I mean, obviously it's in the breeding, but
you breed that in the dogs. If you think back, you know, your UKC rules were set up for pack animals.
Oh yeah.
But as today's standards change, everybody changes what they like in a dog. So they start breeding that in your dogs. So some of it, like you said, is bred in, some is man-made.
It's across the board. I realized this probably a year ago. I looked at the Pro Hound magazine, and this podcast will probably maybe got a little scoop here, but I heard from a reliable source that the December issue of Pro Hound magazine will be the last issue. I guess everything will be online now, and I don't know anything about that. But as I looked at Pro Hound, and I looked at the sires of the year, I mean, or look at the pup and what dogs sired those pups, the pup leaders, the male leaders, the female leaders, and all. And it's all across the board, the sires and the dams of those dogs. It's not like House's Chief produced every one, or 3 out of 5 of these dogs, or Finley River Chief, or Johnson's Man. No, it's all over the board. I mean, yeah, you're going to see some of the popular names in there, like Bone Collector or Zeb 3 or whatever, but it's a wide range of dogs that are producing the dogs that are winning. So that's telling me that the dogs generally overall in the whole body of all these coonhounds are pretty good. I mean, you know, it doesn't take, they're not dependent on one single dog. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, just because a dog is a winner does not mean he's a producer.
Correct.
And just because a dog is a producer don't mean he's a winner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think those are things that we learn, that we passed down, you know, for years, and all of us could cite examples of pretty near worthless dogs that produce some pretty good offspring, you know, really. Well, let's talk a little bit about White River and our hunting and how it's been and that sort of thing. Nubbin, how does our hunts here at the White River, not counting the fact that we're older, and maybe not counting the fact that we might have had a better dog at one time or whatever like that, but just the hunting in general, has it changed here at all, or is it pretty much like it was when you started?
I think it's pretty much like it was. They've always been a few coons here. I don't think there's as many now as there used to be. Like last night, every time we turned loose, it's 400, 500, 600, 700 yards before they ever struck. A time or two, we struck one close, but most of the time they had to get on in there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know what it is.
Well, we're on like a new moon right now, I think. I mean, the full moon's behind us. We kind of looked out on that. But the tracks have been fairly cold, haven't they, Randy?
Yeah, they've been fairly cold. And, you know, the same old deal. And the hunting here is about like it is at our place. Very similar. But some nights coons just don't move. Or 2 or 3 nights in a row they may not move. And then you go in there and tree 10, you know. So it varies. But I think the temperature has got a lot to do with coons moving too. Hot nights, after it's been cold, they tend not to stir around as much.
Yeah. Well, and it is warmer here than it has been probably ever that I remember. We've been here at times when it was, snow on the ground. When we packed up to leave for the week, I remember the one time over there at the cabin, we were leaving and they had a PKC Pro hunt at Sweat's Camp coming in that weekend. I think our friend Jamie was going to hunt there, and it was snow on the ground. Yeah. It was cold down here. You know, we're in the deep South, man. That ain't supposed to happen down here. But you know, to me, there's just such an aura about this place. Do you all? Okay, why do we come to the White River?
Well, I come at home, of course, I live in Alabama. You got cut over, and you got thick woods. Over here, you got big timber. I mean, big timber, and you can walk. The walking is easier in most places. I mean, there's some thick stuff in places, but the woods are just big and pretty, and they got a bunch of them, and I just enjoy that more than anything. And I enjoy getting with guys that, at home I hunt with the same couple of 3 guys all the time.
Yeah.
I don't competition hunt anymore. That's past me. I can't keep up with them young guys. And one reason I quit years ago, I'd get so mad, and I shouldn't have done that. Let's just say I'm 45 years old and I want to go. I want to turn loose now, and I want to make every minute count in a hunt. All right, now I draw this guy that's 70 years old. He can't keep up, and I'd think, man, if you could bring yourself on, we'd tree another coon. And then when I got older, I thought about that, and I said, I'm quitting when I'd have to make them wait on me to catch up. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I quit competition hunting because I remember how I was, and I wasn't going to hold them young guys up.
Yeah.
So I quit competition hunting. And that's just the way I felt about it. When I was competition hunting years ago, I wanted to make every minute count. If there was 2 minutes left in the hunt, I wanted to turn loose, and everybody else wanted to go to the truck, because I've won a lot of hunts in the last minute. But you got to hurry to the tree. You got to save that time.
Yeah. Well, I think the physical aspects of competition hunting did it for me. I mean, I just finally realized that and especially the way that hunts are today, where the dogs are split up a lot, and and this talk about going to every tree and all. You've got one tree 3/4 of a mile in here, and you got another one tree 3/4 of a mile the other direction, and and all that walking. No, it's just physically not possible. And I mean, you can do it. I can do it. I can cover all that ground, but like you say, I'm not going to cover it at the rate of speed that those guys, those younger hunters, are going to want to go in order, to get there. Did you ever do much competition hunting, Moore?
Not a whole lot. No, I did a little bit, but I don't know, wasn't a competition hunter. It's just whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's just like playing sport. All of us have got a little competitive stuff about we want to win. We want to hit a home run. We want to run a touchdown. It's the same thing in coon hunting. If you're going to go out there, why would you want to go if you don't want to win? Stay yourself at home.
No, it's a game. It's a game we play with dogs.
You know what? One thing I used to do, and I have not heard this mentioned, when I was training the dog, if it come a storm's coming up, I may not be planning on going hunting that night, but if the front was coming in and going to rain, I'd get my stuff and go hunting, because I wanted that dog to know that it had to hunt in the rain, sleet, thunder, storm. Because you go to a hunt, you go to Ohio to a big hunt, and it's raining. What are you going to do? You got to hunt in the rain.
Randy, you still like that competition hunting, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I still do a little bit of it, and I do it. I like to win too, just like everybody, and I like to see other dogs. In a lot of hunts, you get a chance to draw and see other folks' dogs and what you got, and just kind of compare everything to them.
Well, that's how you got the dogs you got right now. About that, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, I drew the Tex dog back in 2 or 3 years ago at Black and Tan days, and he put a smoking on me. He treed 3 singles deep, and I liked him, and I told him that if he ever bred a good gyp, remember me, I wanted a pup. I give him my number. And then out of the blue one day, Ed Hilbrand called me and told me he had a pair of pups there, and he was going to keep the female, and he had a male if I wanted it. They was about 7 months old. And I told him I was on my way. And that's where my mule dog come from that I got now. And he Texas a Black River bred dog. Out of some of Chad McCorn stuff that most folks know, especially black dog folks. But anyway, I got lucky, and he turned out to be a good one.
Yeah, I think that's always been the part of the draw of competition hunting. It's going, especially back in the day when the hunts were large and the clubs were active and people went to the coon club and pretty much stayed all day on Saturday. They stayed for the bench show and the treeing contest and the water race and the field trial some places and just the sitting around in the clubhouse and drinking coffee and talking. And that's always been a lot of what the coon hunting is like. But that's kind of changed, hasn't it? I mean, do you find in your area down here in the South, you still get that kind of club atmosphere, or is it mostly just get in there and enter your dog?
No, they just get in and enter your dog. It's all, some of the hunts you go to, some of your hunters, it's competition, don't show up maybe till an hour before, at least, before the hunt starts.
Or 10 minutes to the
10
deadline.
minutes.
But call on the phone and said, I'm on the way now. Right. I'm hurrying.
But your water races declined. There's your treeing contest and all that's declined. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Nubbin Moore lived in Memphis, Tennessee when they had the coon club there on Goodman Road.
Tri-State
and
coon
it's a pond there that they had the water races. And if you drive by there now, you'd swear there ain't never been a coon club here because it's downtown. Mm-hmm. It's you won't even recognize it. And I go by there a lot. But I remember that ground looks like when you drive there to a coon hunt, if you went at noon, it would be like a fair, so many cars and people there. But all of it's gone.
Yeah, that was a good club years ago.
And there were clubs, that in my job, I was fortunate to travel a lot and go to a lot of those clubs and see an awful lot of coon clubs.
Right.
And especially across the upper Midwest, Michigan, for instance, and Ohio and different places, they had some nice facilities. And they were permanent facilities. I mean, they have a water race pond. Some of them there at Marcellus, Michigan, they put in a cement, as Jed Clampett would say, a cement pond, just for the dogs to swim in. I mean, they built, it wasn't just a pond there. It was concrete. They were in a swimming pool with a chain link fence all around it and big shady, camping areas and all that. So times definitely changed where coon hunting used to be more of a family event. The kids were all there. The wives were there. They did the cooking and all that. But we've talked about that in the past. But the sport is evolving. Everything changes. I think that's the hardest thing for me. A lot of my ideals, my thoughts on life and all. And I see younger people don't think like I do anymore. And it's not an indictment on them really, as long as I feel like that they have a purpose and they have standards and so forth involved. But it's always going to change. In this sport, it's going to be the same way, don't you think?
I think if you still want to see one of the old style coon hunts, you need to make it to the St. Jude coon hunt that they held every year at Parsons, Tennessee.
Correct.
There are still people sitting around the levees like they used to watch the water races and the treeing contest. And to me, that's probably one of the older events that's left.
I was so fortunate when it had gone through some changes and it had gone, I guess, to UKC. Well, it was a UKC hunt. And when I went with the AKC, I went down and I talked to the people at St. Jude, and I said, we want to put something into this, because it's such a good cause. And I've been to St. Jude Hospital twice, and that'll change your life. If you don't walk out of the doors of St. Jude Hospital a changed person, you are a rock. You are a brick, because it will melt your heart. Do you see those kids and what they do there and all. So that was, you're right, Morris. It's still got that old flavor to
atmosphere.
it, and there's a little of that too at the Grand American. Grand American is one of the biggest hunts in the country as far as spectator crowds, always has been. and autumn oaks to a degree also. Autumn oaks, with the COVID year and then this last year kind of coming back. You see it kind of, and I look probably for the 22 to be a good year. How long we been going, guys? Anybody got any idea?
An hour and 4 minutes.
Hour and 4 minutes. Who's counting? Right. Can any of you guys remember a favorite hunt that you've had over here at the White River, or anything that happened that you thought was humorous?
Well, not humorous, but I remember the first time I came over here in 1969. Ed Beard invited me. He asked me, he said, "Do you have any vacation left?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a couple of weeks." He said, "Well, schedule around Thanksgiving." So I did. We came over here and hunted around Kansas Lake. We drove a truck down, got out and hunted. By 9 o'clock, we'd killed 10 coons. And I thought, Lord, I've gone to coon hunting heaven. So he said, "Well, I'm ready to go to the cabin." And me being 30 years old, I said, "Man, I'm ready to start hunting. Let's go." And he said, "No, we're through." So we go back to Sweat's camp. He goes in there, and I said, "Hey, where can I go hunting?" So he told me, "Just go up the bay." So I turned my dog loose, and she went up there and struck a track and swam across the bay and tree. Now, my hunt was over then. I couldn't get across there, so I went back to the cabin.
Yeah.
But I loved that hunt. We just had 10 coons. And in Alabama, if you caught 1 or 2 coons by 10 o'clock, you was doing good.
Sure.
All of them over here are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I like coming to go to a place different, and I like just the camaraderie of people here, meeting people and visiting and just coming over here.
Well, one thing I liked about last night was Steve's driving of your side by side.
And I heard through the grapevine that he ran that off in a hole and
He
got
did.
stuck.
I mean, but now listen.
No, wait a minute. I didn't get stuck,
did I? His defense, wait a minute. In his defense, the leaves had covered all that mud and water.
Oh, yeah, I did get stuck a little bit. That was a little bit.
Yeah, he got stuck. He pulled across, and what happened when the front end went down? He just gave it to gas. Now the back end is down.
Well, that's what a 4-wheel drive's for.
Yeah, but
just to get you stuck in places you can't get stuck with.
So you saying that's
drive.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that means it's okay what I did last night.
just give it to gas.
Same thing.
Yeah, well, there was somebody else over here that was stuck last night too. I saw him had that that winch going, didn't you, Randy?
Yeah, Randy had to get behind Steve and me in that side by side and pull us back some.
Well, that's the thing. It's a lot drier here, and you can kind of get around. But that ground, anywhere there's a low place, it's still really soft.
The ground is rotten.
It is for sure. But that's the thing that attracted me to White River. I think it's just all this enormity of places that you can go hunting. I hunt in Florida when I go, and it's just a jungle. You're hacking through palmetto thickets and all this stuff. And down here, it's just, to me, it's almost like a religious experience. Because when I walk to a dog off through the woods, we walked the other Sunday night in Morris, we had 2 trees that were better than 500 yards into the tree. And we did that a couple times, and you're just walking along, and it's all this open woods.
It's like a stroll in the park, isn't it?
And these trees, the dogs, of course, they're going to pick the big trees it seems like that they tree on. But some of these trees are just enormous. And you just look at this woods, and you stop and listen. And unless there's another party of dogs somewhere off in the distance, you don't hear any highway noise. You don't hear any jet planes. You don't hear, house dogs barking. None of that. And that's what. And then, of course, the getting together, of sitting around after the hunt's over and hearing the stories. We usually split up, but being 5 of us, it's kind of hard to hunt 5 dogs together. And then there's a couple local hunters here, John Storts and his son Bubba, and they go with us and different ones, and so you can't hunt all together, but getting to hear the stories when everybody comes back in is always a good part of it. What do you like about coming over here, Randy?
It's just a big open woods, and like you say, it's no yard dog barking nowhere, and just beautiful woods over here, and just the people. I like. We got a good group. And,
we do.
And
absolutely, we cooked a pretty good breakfast this morning, didn't we?
Oh yeah, well, we eat good over here. I can promise you that.
Hey, my bride told me, said, "Don't you come back where you can't button your pants now." You quit eating so much over there.
Well, we do eat well, that's for sure, and the wives that contribute and to that, and this, where we're staying now has got a big kitchen, so we can kind of all get in there, and contribute a little bit. But it's just a great time, and I hope that it's been 12 years now for me. I hope there's 12 more.
Yeah, if I live that long as I'm able to go, I'm going to come over here.
Sure. Yeah.
One thing that I miss over here, and don't really miss it at home, there's so many people moving out of Birmingham wanting to buy 4 or 5 acres, 3 acres, and build a house. But the creek bottom is behind their house, and they always turning them porch lights on, hollering, "What are you doing down there?" And I miss that over here because at home, everywhere I hunt, there's somebody building a new house.
Yeah.
So you're saying where you hunt now, you have to go get your dog with your light out because you can see in the man's window with him watching TV.
Yeah, that's right. And then I'd holler, "I'm going to get my dog and get out of here."
Been there.
Oh, boy.
And the place where I hunt now, my lifetime coon hunting buddy, Ronnie Wortham, has got 60 acres down there, and he was in the woods by himself. And I've hunted there for years. And now all that land around him is sold this last year.
Yeah.
And they're clearing it up. They built a dam in there, going to put a lake and sell house lots around it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to quit hunting down there.
Well, it's universal. When I went to Florida in the 60s, nothing but orange groves and cattle ranches in Central Florida, far as you could see. Now, nothing but condos, shopping centers, apartment buildings, single-family homes. One area right there at Range Country, 5,000 new homes. 900 people a day move to Florida, a day. So, to come to still have a place like this, and I don't believe, I should have done my research. I don't remember who it was that designated the White River as a refuge, but there's 160,000 acres here. And what I've noticed in the last 2 or 3 years, I don't believe there's nearly the hunting pressure here that there used to be in the early years when I came.
I don't think it is either. Well, at first when I started coming over here years ago, part of the land we hunt on now, we used to belong to a place called a timber company called Potlatch. Now all of that has been bought, I guess, by the government, and then it's all White River Refuge now.
Right. For those of you who may have never been to the White River National Wildlife Refuge, it is your land. It's public land. It belongs to you. It doesn't belong to us. We're very fortunate to have our group here that we come every year, but this is public land. I saw a guy with a T-shirt one time. It said public landowner. And that's what it is, and it's here for everybody. If you've never been to the White River and you want to experience it, there's some basics. You need to get a license. You have to get an Arkansas small game license. They have a 5-day license, but we usually stay longer. We stay usually a full week, maybe 7 nights, and so we buy the non-resident small game license for $110. And it's good all the way up until June, I believe.
It is. Yeah.
So you could make, if you lived in driving range, you could probably make several trips. But the idea is that it's just open at certain times, and it's a narrow window. I think this year it opened on November 18th. I'm thinking, and then the north unit opens early, and then portions of it continues all the way to the end of January, I believe it is. And then there's a south unit, which is actually more land area than the north unit, but it's only open for 2 weeks, December 1st to the 15th. So we're going to be, what's that?
Permit. Don't forget to mention the permit.
There is now, in the last 2 or 3 years, it used to be you just carried a little brochure with you in your pocket that had all the rules, and there are rules. And you need to get on the Dale Bumpers National Wildlife Refuge site that Arkansas puts up, and it'll give you all the rules. You can see the maps. The basics to know is this. You can drive your vehicle on all the gravel roads, your truck, your pickup truck, and you can pull off the side and cast your dog just like you would in a farm lot in Ohio. But you cannot drive your ATVs on those gravel roads. They're designated trails everywhere. I mean, there's a lot of four-wheeler trails, and that's one of the things that I enjoyed from the earliest days coming over here, because living in Michigan and all, I had no reason to drive a ATV to go coon hunting. I pull in a farmer's barn lot and cast my dogs toward the woods. I didn't, but riding ATVs is a big part of the White River experience. The trails are there. They get washed out. You need a winch. I would recommend you have a winch in a four-wheel drive vehicle, an ATV. Some of the trails are a little narrow, so you might want to consider getting some of the more, the narrower type vehicles. But anyway, it's just a great place to come. It's open every year to the public, provided you have the proper licenses and the permits. Anything I've missed on that, guys?
Just don't let your walking stick stick out of the side by side.
Your permit is $20. Is what it costs.
$20 you have to pay now to get that permit.
You have to get it online.
You have to get that online through that Dale Bumpers National Wildlife Refuge site. And what I do is I just have mine. I buy everything online, print it out at the house, fold it up, and put it in my wallet. And just be legal. Take care of it. It belongs to everybody. And I think, the one thing you don't see here, you don't see trash laying around. You don't see a lot of junk in the refuge, dumping sites and all that. I mean, it's well taken care of, but it's just a big wilderness is what it is.
The only thing I will add to that, Steve, is this. If you got something that's for free, that's enjoyable like this, take care of it. Don't abuse it, or you will lose it.
Absolutely. Fellas, I think that's a great place for us to end this thing today. I want to thank you all for taking the time. I mean, I kind of rushed you after breakfast so we get this in, because we usually have a group of guys that come through during the week to visit with us, and that's all part of the experience. And I think some of the North Carolina boys are supposed to be by today, so want to kind of wrap this thing up. Anything that we've missed that you think we should have talked about?
I think we've pretty much covered it all.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank our good friends at DU Hunting Supply, Buddy Woodbury and Jason Doobie and all of the crew there at WU Supply. Such a great folks to work with. They make this podcast possible. They create the platform that we're able to come out to you each week. So we want to thank them. If you need anything in the line of hound hunting supplies, and especially the electronics end of things like your Garmins and collars and handhelds, and all of that, and great customer service along with it, those folks at DU Hunting Supply are really great folks to work for, and we appreciate them. Well, Nubbin and Morris and Randy, I want to thank you for your time this morning. And we got about 4 more nights to hunt, I think, before our week will go by. It always goes by pretty quickly. And maybe we'll do another one of these toward the end of the week, kind of do a wrap-up of the thing. But thank you for your time. Folks out there, if anybody asks you, where is Steve Fielder, you tell them he's gone to the dark.